Hello. Welcome, everybody. I hope you're all excited for this very wonderful interview with Fiamma. I'm going to point to I'm pointing right.
Hi,
Um,
hello.
so, as you know, we've just started our first set of creator interviews last night. This is number two now. And to get started, I will let Fiamma introduce herself.
Well, hi, I'm Fia, or Fiamma29. Most people call me Fia. I'm a Twitch streamer from Brisbane in Australia, and I've been doing this for just over 5 years now. It's a lot of fun, and I'm here. I'm looking forward to having a chat with Fran, and hopefully answering a couple questions and getting some tips and tricks out there for people looking to stream themselves.
Wonderful. By the way, if there are any audio issues, let me know. I'm looking at chat as well because I know this is an issue last night. So
Hi,
just
hello.
hit me up. So, first question, now that we know a little bit about you, tell us
Mhm.
more about your content creation. What's your handle? What channels are you on? And what kind of games have you been playing recently?
Sure. So at the moment, for the past year or so, I've been focusing exclusively on World of Warcraft. It's something that I noticed when I was watching made my decision. Yep, I want to push for Twitch Partner now, and I started looking at my stats, and my stats told me play WoW, so I played WoW. I'm Fiamma29 on Twitch. I'm Fiamma_29 on Twitter, and Fiamma.29 on Instagram because the internet is the internet, and no one can get everything everywhere apparently. But yeah, I'm working on potentially getting a Facebook page set up and maybe even a TikTok. I'm learning a lot from GGWP, and one of those things is learning that I need to spread myself across all of the platforms. I do have a YouTube channel where I was focusing on a lot of like the beauty and makeup side of things, but I'm learning how to pivot that to support my Twitch streaming as well. Yeah.
Awesome. Um, so, and this is a really important question, I think, when it comes to just content creation and even just streaming in general as well. Um,
Mhm.
I know you've already mentioned World of Warcraft, but if you had to like give advice to someone about how to choose what games to play, what would you tell them? What kind of research do you think people should do when they are trying to choose what kind of content they should be going with in terms of the game choice?
It is a really important question because your game choice can make or break your stream, very, very simply. What I would definitely recommend is looking at the things that you like to play already. Looking at things like your schedule, how much you plan to stream, how often, all that kind of stuff. And if you plan to make this a long term thing, or if you're just going to dip your toes in for a few months, all of it can really determine what's going to be the best game for you. You want to find a game that you can play a lot and that you can fit into a schedule and play it regularly and not get sick of it.
Yeah.
And if you do get sick of a game, pivot, change your plan, find something else that you want to play and play that for a while. You can definitely, if you are, obviously there's a couple of different things that you can pick. You can go for like one game focus, which is what I do. I do World of Warcraft, or you can go down the route of variety streaming. You can also pick a specific game and then like change to a different game and then change to a different game. But keep in mind that if you do build a community around a specific game and then you change to a different game, there is a pretty decent chance that you're going to lose a chunk of your audience. I had a friend of mine a few years back who was a partnered Warframe streamer. Was partnered with Twitch, partnered with Warframe, everything. Business was booming for him. And then he got bored of it and decided to change games, and he went from having hundreds of concurrent viewers average down to 20 or 30. Simply because a lot of people were watching him for the Warframe content. They were watching for him as well. Like focusing on your own personality and stuff is super important, but making sure that you can pick a game that you can stick with for a while is also good. One of the reasons why I love WoW is that there are so many different activities within the one game. And people are going to be interested. Sometimes I'll have people who come in to watch raids or PvP or mount farming or whatever it happens to be. But it means that I can keep some sort of variety for myself, keep me from burning out, keep me from getting bored.
Awesome.
So yeah, definitely pick something that you want to play, because if you pick something that's just like the flavor of the month and you don't particularly like it, you will contribute to burnout, and that's not
Hmm.
good. You don't want to do that.
Yeah, like I think there's the essence of games is you play to have fun, and if you're not really hitting that point,
Exactly.
then it's
Absolutely.
going to just be painful for yourself. Also, just a shout out to chat.
Yeah.
Thank you for the audio tips. They've been helping me level out a bit. I am not like a pro audio
Awesome.
person, FYI, just so you know, peoples, but I appreciate your support in this. If you have any questions, we probably won't have time for them, but we'll go over handles again on where you can find both Fiamma and GGWP. Next question I have is, I mean, you mentioned it already, but I think it'll be good to kind of mention it again and expand on it a little bit. How you mentioned you've been streaming for 5 years now. How did you get into streaming? Is it part-time or full-time for you? And what kind of advice would you have for someone looking at, getting into streaming?
Sure. So I got into streaming as a suggestion on guild recruitment for WoW. It doesn't work. Hot tip: don't do that. Uh, but I had fun with it. We did a few weeks, a few months, a few more months, turned into a year, turned into 2 years, and it became such a huge part of my life. It was definitely something that started out part-time. I was streaming not all of our raid nights, but a handful of them. And then from there, it dropped back a little bit, and then it built up and it dropped back a little bit. And it got to the point where I was actually earning enough from Twitch after I became an affiliate. I was earning enough from Twitch that I felt comfortable scaling down my work days and scaling up my stream days. So I now stream more hours than I work at my day job. I work 15.2 hours a week at my day job, and I stream 24. So it's a good balance. It still allows me to have some time that isn't on camera or at work for my life. But yeah, it was a very, very big decision to quit my full-time job. It was scary. It was terrifying. But I had enough financial knowledge, like financial intelligence is hugely important. And I managed to make it work, and I'm still making it work, which I'm very happy about. Advice for people getting into streaming. The big one that you hear everywhere is have a schedule. Set a fixed schedule, stick to your schedule. But I actually saw a tweet earlier today, funnily enough. I was just scrolling through my feed, and I saw a tweet about how a lot of people feel quite disenfranchised by that, because people who have, for example, chronic illnesses or disability or things like that, they can't stick to a schedule because their body may not allow them to, or they have medical appointments that they can't set themselves and they just pop up when they have to go to the hospital whenever they are told to, basically. I myself have a couple of appointments like that. And so that's kind of, if you are in that kind of situation, finding ways around that can be difficult because schedule is super, super important. One thing that I might recommend, if you are someone who works shift work or has a rotating thing where they can't stream at the same time every week, partner up with people who are similar to you. Similar kind of content, similar game, preferably the same game, or if you're a variety streamer, make sure they're variety streaming as well. And definitely same kind of personality. So like if you had a chat room like the two of us here, you'd be able to riff off each other and you'd be able to keep that same energy, and then you have that same energy in both of your streams. And then between the two of you or the group of you, set a schedule so that each time slot, one of you is available. So you can maintain some sort of continuity for your viewers, and all of you can grow together with the Is everything okay?
No, we're good. It just decided to turn the light off on me, but it's fine. Continue.
Oh, right. Yeah, meeting rooms, yes. So yeah, finding people who you can riff with, that kind of thing, to grow your streams together and to maintain a schedule without having to maintain a schedule yourself. It seems to be a good choice.
Yeah, that's a really great tip about just collaboration in general. And like, it is about kind of helping you grow as well. But I think that type of collaboration you described is like a win-win-win for everybody.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I think even for people who aren't going through the same kind of chronic illnesses you mentioned, even for people starting out, I think that's good advice as well, because again, it's just, there's so many advantages to doing it that way that I think it'll benefit a lot more people, including those who are suffering from various conditions or chronic illnesses.
Yeah, or even people who have, like I said, shift work and stuff like that. It can be really, really difficult, especially when you're trying to start maintaining that schedule. But it is important. It's like the first thing I ever read about streaming told me, this is 5 years ago, the advice has not changed. It's like a TV show. If people know when to tune in and they know where to go, then they'll show up and they'll watch the show. If they don't know, if it just, gets a ping on their phone, oh, by the way, your favorite TV show started 5 minutes ago. So I'm in the middle of something. So yeah, having that set schedule when you go live really, really helps just grow that community and grow your influence.
That actually is one of my follow-up questions, but maybe we can
Okay.
it. I'll skip the next question and go to the question after that, which is growth strategies at the
Right. Yeah.
beginning. I think that's a good one to start with. I'm just
Yeah,
gonna skip a
absolutely.
question for now. I'll come back to the other one.
For sure.
Other than that kind of collaboration strategy, what would be your kind of go-to for growing your stream if you're also just starting out?
When you're brand new, like brand spanking new, have a couple of like sort of single digit followers that are single digit viewers, that kind of thing. Just have fun, like share as much as you can, make sure you're active on as many social media platforms as you can, share things that aren't just going live. I've seen a couple of like Twitter feeds where I've scrolled through their profile and I'm like, but who are you? Like you're live, sure, but who are you? That kind of thing definitely helps. Once you've moved into that sort of double digit concurrent viewer kind of area, start looking at your statistics. Like they're there and they're scary, but they will help you. Twitch doesn't just give you all this stuff for no reason. It's there, it's useful. So have a look, like lay out 30 days or even 60 days worth of streams and have a look. Okay, what was I doing when it dipped? Was the stream shorter? Was the stream longer? Was I playing something different? Was I playing the same thing? What was I doing in the game that was different to normal? What did I do differently on that day that made the viewer numbers drop? I still do this. The other day I did a stream where I was working on getting renown on some of my characters, and I looked at my stats afterwards and I was like, oh, let's not do that again. Like it just but then do the same thing for your heart, like those peaks. Have a look at those spikes in your viewer numbers and see what you're doing. For example, for myself, when I made the shift to 100% WoW, I was looking and I saw these dips and I'm like, okay, well, let's change that to WoW. And I saw that number go up. And then on a Wednesday, I'm like, well, what am I doing on a Wednesday? Let's make that WoW now. And it jumped again. I had 5 streams a week and some of them were 4 hours and some of them were 6 hours. And I noticed that the 6-hour streams are doing better. So I canceled one of my 4-hour streams and added the extra time. So I didn't change the amount of time per week because that was important to me. I wanted to maintain my work-life balance. But I added those hours to the other streams and made them longer, the viewer number went up. So that's not all going to work for everybody, of course. Every single person is going to have different things that work for them, different things that work for their community, but pay attention to your stats. Really like spend a good amount of time digging in, looking at those numbers and working out what is working for you and your community. Definitely key advice.
Yeah, I think again that applies no matter what stage you're at,
Yeah.
whether you're just starting or if you've been
Mm.
streaming for a very, very long time, or and this applies to not just streaming but recorded content, any other social media
Yeah.
channels. They all have analytics that you can look into, so that it
100%.
never hurts to go back in there and just kind of assess yourself. It's scary,
Oh
but
yeah, terrifying. It's like, oh, which ones am I? Which ones aren't doing well? But that's fine. It's not that you're bad or that you've messed up. It's that you tried something and it didn't work for you. That's okay. It might work for all of these influencers over here, but it's not working for you, and that's fine. You're different, so you can find what works for you.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Which brings me to a very related and interesting question.
Okay.
Speaking of scary things, or this is more like challenges, but when you
Mm.
first started, what was the hardest thing you had to deal with or overcome?
Um, I don't want to drag the stream down, so I'm harassment was number one. I experienced a lot of harassment that involved the police in the first 6 to 8 months of my stream, which was not great. But that kind of thing, it's you can only really deal with it if and when it happens. It's not something you can prepare for. It's not something you can defend yourself against or anything like that. But be aware that you are putting yourself on the internet, and there are going to be people out there who don't like you. And there may not be a reason. There might be a reason, but there might not be a reason. So one of the things that I absolutely live by now is a quote from Dita Von Teese that I'm going to absolutely butcher. But it's, you could be the sweetest, juiciest peach in the world. Some people just don't like peaches. So remembering that you're not for everyone Like someone might come in and not like you, and it's okay for them to not like you. There are hundreds of thousands of other content creators out there for them to go like. You don't want that kind of energy. But the other thing was learning how to turn a one-word answer into a 3-minute monologue. When you have only a handful of people in chat, you want to keep the energy up. And if you're sitting there just kind of watching what you're doing, even if you're narrating what you're doing, it's embarrassing and it feels weird, but trust me, it helps, because you might be doing something and you say something and it picks up on the ear of a lurker who jumps into chat and says, oh, what about this thing? And then you can go and rant on that, and it's great. So one of the things, for example, a lot of people come in and ask me what spec I play. And I'm a mage. I play a mage in World of Warcraft, and I play a fire mage. That's the answer, right? I'm a fire mage, except that I'm a fire mage because I love the way that it plays really quickly and I can press a ton of buttons and things are always flashing and it makes me feel like I'm moving really quickly, almost like a melee spec. I do play arcane occasionally, but you can see where I'm going. Like it's already, that's 30 seconds for a 2-word answer. Learning how to monologue and how to rant, even when there's nothing going on in chat, is super important, because put yourself in a viewer's shoes. If you jump into a stream and you open it up and you're sitting there, nothing's happening, chat's not moving, streamer's not talking, but you know it's not frozen or muted or anything, but okay, I'll find somewhere else to go. As opposed to jumping in and there's an entertaining conversation, even if it's not a conversation, even if it's a monologue, something's happening and it hooks them in straight away. It's definitely a good idea to keep people interested, because at any moment someone could join.
Yeah. All excellent advice. And I don't think you're bringing down the stream by mentioning the reality of abuse, by the way. While I'm here,
Yeah.
I just want to let everybody know, if you have, even if it's not necessarily abuse you've experienced, but, and I'm talking straight to camera there.
Yeah.
If you have, you know, either mental health, like your mental health isn't great, if someone's bringing you down, if something else is happening, don't ever hesitate to reach out to your local health service. This
Yeah,
could
for sure.
be, you know, Lifeline, even checkpoint.org is great. They're getting that plug for free. Hi, Checkpoint. Anyone else like that, those are all support networks on hand. A lot of these lines are free, so don't hesitate to use them. If you do, you know, see abuse elsewhere online, whether it's targeted at you or anyone else, report them. Don't just, you know, it's easy to get overwhelmed by it and suffer from it, but there are actions you can take, especially for just taking care of yourself. So PSA,
Yeah,
reach
for
out
sure.
when you need help, because there are people there to help you.
I can definitely put in a massive vouch for Beyond Blue here in Australia. They have been immensely helpful to me personally and to people who I know, who I'm obviously not going to out. But they also do an online chat thing if you're not in a place where you're safe to speak to someone like verbally. They're fantastic as well. But another thing, when you mentioned like if you see it happening, the standard you walk past is the standard you accept. So if you just kind of see it in chat, in a game, like in general chat or on Twitter or in a Twitch chat, if you just ignore it, that's that person's okay to continue doing it. They need to be told off, blocked, and even if you don't feel comfortable reporting them for whatever reason, and you may not, and that's valid, but you can block them, and that's something to protect yourself, if not others as well. Yeah.
This is an unrelated PSA, but very important to mention anytime we talk about these kinds of topics. So
Of
if you
course.
have more questions about this, you can tweet at us at GWP. We haven't done an AMA yet on online safety. We should have one coming up soon.
Awesome.
But again, this is like a high priority area that everybody should be aware of. So yeah.
Totally. Absolutely.
And another mild segue. Our final question for today. And I think this might be a bit tricky, and I'm not sure how you want to go about it, but if you need to think for like a second or two, what would be like the number one most important thing you'd want to let people know if they wanted to get into streaming, content creation, or even going full time?
It's hard. it's hard. Like it's not, you see a lot of like the big things that you see on social media are people who like, oh my God, they went viral overnight and all that, which is amazing for them and well done to them managing to strike that specific tiny little target that allowed them to explode in a good way, of course, or sometimes. But it is like hitting that tiny little target is like it very rarely happens on purpose. Most of the time it's accidental. It is incredibly difficult to build up to the point where you're going to be full-time streaming. Not to say it's impossible. It is definitely possible. I've got countless friends who are in the streaming sphere who have all made that jump and done that kind of thing. It is exceptionally hard, but with hard work and focus, you can do it. Anyone can do it. You just need to know what you're good at, what you can't do, and acknowledge that you can't do those things and bring in other people to help you do that. Sometimes it costs a bit of money. Sometimes you need to wait until you can do that, but it is possible. It's definitely possible. The really, really big one I would highly recommend, which I don't really see in many places. A lot of people, talk about how to grow your communities and how to put yourself out there and how to take advantage of opportunities and stuff. The one thing I don't really see like anywhere is the financial intelligence side of things. I'm not sure how it is in other countries, but in Australia, we have superannuation. I think there's something similar in most other countries, but it's a chunk of your paycheck that you never actually see, and it goes into like a social security thing for your retirement. If you're streaming on Twitch, you don't get super. They don't take tax out of it. So that means at the end of the financial year, when you are, submitting your tax returns and you have to declare your Twitch income, the government's going to ask you for several $100s. If you've been funneling all that money back into your stream, you're not going to have that money and you're going to be in debt. So making sure that you are aware of how much you're earning, what part of that is going to need to go in for your future, because, eventually we're going to get to, 55, 60, 70 years of age, and we may not be streaming anymore, but we're still going to have to pay for a home and food and things like that. You need to make sure that you're protecting yourself for your future. You need to make sure that you're putting money aside for the tax man and making sure that, looking at my particular stream income, for example, and I'm sure it's the same for many streamers, December and January are low months. No matter what you're earning, you're going to earn less in December and January. You'll earn more You'll earn more ad revenue in December because of Christmas coming up. But in terms of subs, donations, cheers, that kind of stuff, you will earn less because people are trying to put that money aside for Christmas. And then in January, people are trying to pay off their credit cards from Christmas. So you'll get less income. You've got to have a look at your past income and your future and plan for your future income. Make sure you're putting some away to protect yourself for those long months, that kind of stuff. Financial safety is super, super important. Financial security is one of the most important things. And it's a leading cause of stress. You don't want any of that when you're trying to have fun and grow your stream. So yeah, I know money talk is boring, but I'm an assistant accountant. So, also I am not giving you financial advice.
No.
I'm telling you that you should seek financial advice from somebody qualified.
That would be its own full panel of AMA. And we've had a few requests already for that, because it's just even just taxes is a whole topic. Like that is a whole separate topic in and of itself.
I pay someone for that because I wish, it is so important to get it right as well, because if you file incorrectly, 5 years later they come in back down on you like, okay, interest now, like come on now. But no, it's and every individual situation will be totally different. You need to get personalized advice. Highly recommend. And in Australia, at least, if you do consult a tax specialist, like an accountant for your taxes, the invoice that you get from them, you can claim it on tax for that year. So make sure you hold on to that stuff and make sure you actually go do it, because although it is spending money, you can claim it at the end of the year. So money is important.
So much money wisdom. I wasn't expecting this much money wisdom in this interview, but it's all this is just general life wisdom now as well.
That is kind of one of my specialties.
Yeah, whether you're a streamer, which is basically self-employed, well, not basically, it's similar to self-employed.
It is self-employment, yeah.
So, that still applies for those that particular category of employment. Absolutely. So, We'll make sure we run another AMA on that because I think that's actually another very high priority area because
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
people going full time, this is your like how you're doing your breadwinning. So
Correct. Yeah.
I'm
And I
gonna
mean,
bring the
like
lights back.
a lot of the people who you see coming into content creation and stuff nowadays are like 16, 17, 18, 19 years old. They don't know what they're doing with it. I mean, some of them will, obviously. And I'd like to hope that a lot of them have guardians that are able to help them with that kind of stuff. But when you call up your mates and go, yo, I just got a 100K contract, what are you doing with that? Like, no, chill. Like, figure out how to cover yourself for the future because it is so important. Yeah.
Amazing advice.
Thank
You for
you.
sharing that.
No
So,
worries. Thank you for having me.
it's been very awesome having you on with us today. It's been
Thank
great to
you.
hear all your pieces of advice as someone who's been in it for a while now. It seems like you've seen all the things, I would say.
Almost all the things.
Almost all
I'm
the
yet to
things.
see the 100K contract, but we're working on that. So
It's probably really, really high tier, like, the ones who get the exclusive deals people. Yeah, that's
yeah.
probably at that
Mm-hmm.
stage. That's a whole
Yep.
other conversation. But some of the same
Yep.
concepts of finance, health, safety, and
Oh yeah, totally.
at that point, that's where you also look for professional legal advice. So
Yes.
always
Absolutely.
talk to professionals for that, people.
Yep.
And with that, if people want to find you after the stream, where can they go find you next?
They can go on Twitter and find me at fiamma_29. Is probably the best place to kind of grab me. We also have a Discord. I think that's linked on my Twitter. But the number one place that I spend most of my time is my stream, and it's fiamma29 here on Twitch. And I'll be going live in about half an hour.
Awesome.
So there's that. If you've got nothing to do this evening, I'd love to have you along. I can't remember what we're doing on stream, but it'll be something WoW related. And there are also all of the, we call them TED Talks, and my community has started calling them Fia Talks because I rant a lot and it's great. And people seem to like it, so we'll keep doing it.
Awesome. And keep in touch with GGWP. We are at GGWP Academy on all socials, ggwp.academy on Instagram if you want to follow us there. We share a lot of creator advice, news, support. Our app has training and modules on topics like personal branding, social media. So if you're starting out, if you're plateauing, you need some help, we're here to support you. And I hope you tune in for our next creator interview.
I'm rewatching the social media one at the moment because I suck.
It's great stuff. But
it is. It's awesome.
Yeah, keep an eye out for that stuff. And keep an eye out for our next interview. But for now, I hope everybody has a great day. And thanks again, Fia.
No worries at all. Thank you for having me.
Bye.
Bye.